it's been a fun. They've been great games, so it's been fun to watch, and it's really exciting watching the young quarterback, and he's just a totally different style player than we've had in that position um,
In a
as
long
long as I
time,
can
right?
remember.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's been
yeah,
straight up tall white guys in that position for a long time. So yeah, it's fun to get those guys that can run and make a play with their legs back there. It makes the game a lot more exciting, I think.
yeah, yep. It's been fun. So we're enjoying the season, and we'll see how it shapes up, if it turns out to be a competitive season or not. But either way, it looks like the future is bright. So that's a good thing.
No question. See how they do going forward. And Jack, let's dive into Social Security stuff here as we get started for the day. And I want to start with school-related reminders as it relates to Social Security. What do you have for us here? What do you want to talk about with this?
Yeah, so there are a couple things, as we're kind of in full swing here now in the school year. One thing that I wanted to talk about was for benefits for students. So there's a possibility that a child of a disabled or retired or deceased worker can receive monthly benefits as the child of that individual, if that individual paid into Social Security, and those children can get benefits until they turn 18. But there's also a chance that those benefits can continue until age 19 if the child is still a full-time high school student. And so if they're going to be turning 18 this year and they're getting benefits on the record of a parent, it's important that there's something that they have to do in order for those benefits to continue up until age 19 or until they're no longer a full-time high school student, whichever comes first. And Seth, what they need to do to keep those benefits is complete a form. And there's of course a form number. It's an SSA 1372. Now typically they would get this in the mail, so it should have come to them, you know, several months before their 18th birthday. But if you've misplaced that, if you're not sure you've gotten it, you can also get a replacement on our website. So if you go to ssa.gov in the forms section, you'll find that 1372. Basically, what needs to be done is your student needs to fill out page 2, which is just information about their school year and when it's going to end and that kind of stuff. And then they take page 3 to the school and have somebody at the school sign that to certify it. And then it can be faxed, mailed, or dropped off at a local Social Security office. And that way, like I said, their benefits don't stop at age 18. They continue up until age 19 or when they're no longer a full-time student. And again, that's a Form 1372, and that's for the extension of those benefits that they're already receiving, but would potentially end at age 18 and don't have to if they're full-time high school students.
Sure. And again, you can get that form online, correct, Jack?
You can. Yep. It should have come in the mail. So check around there first, because you might have it sitting somewhere in your pile of mail if you sort things that way. But if you can't find it, it is available on the website, ssa.gov, in the form section.
Now, if there's a student that's about to take a driver's education course, how is that relevant to this conversation?
Yeah, so it's relevant to the school part of it, and kind of a new school year. It's not so relevant to the 1372 and the form we were talking about just a minute ago. But we do get a lot of calls from parents of soon to be new drivers. So that's kind of the driver's ed angle, right? If you have a child who's approaching age 16 and maybe starting driver's ed this school year, that sort of thing. One of the things I'd like to encourage you to do is start looking right now for their Social Security card. I'm sure you put it somewhere safe and secure where you'd be able to find it later. But unfortunately, sometimes parents can't find that Social Security card, and it's not often something you think about until the day or two before you're heading to the DMV to get their driver's license. We've taken plenty of phone calls from parents who are a little bit panicked because they're supposed to take their son or daughter to the DMV in the next week and they can't find the Social Security card. So take some time now, take a look around for it, see if you can find it. If you can't find it, then you've got time to request a replacement card through us at Social Security. It's going to take a couple weeks for that replacement card to arrive. So if you do that ahead of time, you'll be, in better position. Of course, hopefully you just find the card, but if you don't, then you'll have time to request a replacement from us and still be able to get them to the DMV to get that driver's license on time. And I think everybody in your household will appreciate the fact that you looked a little bit early.
For sure. Yeah, you don't want to get there and not be able to get that driver's license, right? That's got to be a frustrating time for a teenager if they can't get that license right on that 16th birthday or when they're ready to take that test, right?
Absolutely. And if you're in that situation, unfortunately, there's no way we can get you a card faster. It's going to take that 10 days to 2 weeks or so. So check it out now. Look for the card. If you can't find it, then you can go to our website, ssa.gov/SS number, and figure out what you need to do to get them a replacement card.
This, Jack, has literally nothing to do with anything we've talked about. I was scrolling the other day and saw this guy talking about how teenagers, young people, have no interest in learning to drive because in about 5 or 10 years, like Uber is going to be everywhere and Lyft and all these like transportation companies, right? They're going to be everywhere. I know you've got teenagers. Like, are you finding that to be the case with your kids and their friends? Is that a piece of conversation you're hearing about?
It's not in our world yet. That sounds like it might be more of a bigger city type issue. Maybe it'll trickle down to us, but
sure.
And I have a small sample size, but in my world, that's not been my experience. The teenagers that I'm around seem to be pretty interested in learning to drive. But again, we're not in, the most populous parts of the country where I think that conversation is different, just as a whole. Even adults in some of the big cities don't bother with driving because of all the hassles of parking and those sorts of things that come along with owning a vehicle in a city. So I could see that being probably more true in cities than it is in communities like Springfield and Taylorville and places like this.
No question. A point well made. Jack Myers, Social Security, our guest on the phone here for this morning. Jack, let's wrap up our first segment here. We talk a lot about My Social Security. I was telling you before we got started this morning, I was out west the last week, and one thing I noticed in driving through the western part of the country is that there is a lot of advertisement for My Social Security. So let's talk My Social Security here in this segment and accessing our earnings history. That's one aspect of this account. What do you have for us here?
Yeah, absolutely. If you go to our website, ssa.gov, you can look for the My Social Security account. You can create your own personal account, and then it'll give you access to a lot of different things. You can see your earnings record. You can get verifications of what you get from Social Security or SSI if you receive benefits. So there are just a lot of things you can do. You can request a replacement Social Security card if you're 18 or older and have a driver's license or state ID from most states. So there are a lot of things that you can do with the My Social Security account. And a lot of times it can save you from having to call or visit a Social Security office. But, one of those things that I want to highlight a little bit this morning here is that ability to review your earnings history. Your earnings history is something that we keep track of. We get reports from your employers, or if you're self-employed, when you file your self-employment tax returns, we get that information. But it's very important that is accurate. And the reason for that is that ultimately, whenever the time comes for you to collect benefits from Social Security, the amount of your monthly benefit is going to be based upon your earnings history. So if it's a retirement benefit, for example, we're going to be using your 35 best years of earnings. We're going to adjust those for inflation, but we're going to be taking the data that was reported to us and using that to calculate your benefits. While it is your employer's responsibility to provide that accurate earnings information to us, it's really your responsibility to take a look at that on a regular basis and make sure that that's happening. Because if there's a failure there, something doesn't go right, the report's not correct, that could potentially cause a reduction in your monthly Social Security benefits. And depending on how significant that error is, you could be looking at a lot of money that you're losing every month because of that reporting issue with your earnings record. So take a look at that on a regular basis. Make sure that you're seeing the earnings reported correctly. If you spot a problem, it's pretty easy to fix as long as you still have your W-2, or if you're self-employed, you have your self-employment tax return and the proof of tax paid. You just get those things to us, and we'll get the adjustment made. But that's why it's so important, Seth, to look at that on a regular basis, because if you spot a problem from 2 years ago, you're a lot more likely to have the documentation you need to fix it than if you wait until retirement and say, oh, wait a minute, 25 years ago, back in 2021, that was wrong.
Mm-hmm.
You're not as likely to have the documents we need to get that fixed at that point in time. So take a look at it on a regular basis and let us know if you spot any problems so we can get that taken care of for you.
Easy enough. Again, Jack, where do folks go to learn about all that, whether it's My Social Security, fixing those problems, anything of the like? Where do they find that information?
Find it on our website at ssa.gov, specifically ssa.gov/myaccount to get started with your My Social Security account.
Very good. Jack Myers, Social Security, my guest on the phone this morning. Jack, we'll take a break here, come back with more here on the WHOW Morning Show.
WHOW.org.
Let's check the markets now on the RFD Radio Network. I'm Jim Taylor. Corn higher, beans lower, wheat trading higher. December corn up 2 1/4, 488 1/4. March corn up 2 1/2, 503 1/2. May corn 512 up 2 1/2. November beans 1269 3/4, down 3 1/4. January beans down 3 3/4, 1288 1/2. March beans 1302 3/4, down 4 1/2. December wheat 569 up 9. March wheat up 8 3/4. 597 3/4. December bean meal 370.30, down 170. December bean oil 55.82, down 17 cents. Livestock market at this hour: October feeders 247.37, down 40 cents. October live cattle down 85 cents, 181.35. October lean hogs 80.45, up 52 cents. Energy market at this hour: November crude oil 83.76, that's down 46 cents. Jim Taylor.
Here's another Clinton Save-A-Lot satisfied customer.
I'm Josh. I'm from Clinton. I usually go shop here at Save-A-Lot. I get out once or twice a week. Come here. It's convenient, close by. Got a great selection, good prices. It's just close by. I live a few blocks away, so it's nice to have a place close. Has a wide variety: steaks, chicken. They have chicken fajitas. I make chicken fajitas quite a bit, so they got the chicken already chopped up for fajitas. That makes it nice.
And his owner, Dave Jackson, says,
and we hope to see you soon.
Strange things happen when October comes to Clinton, Illinois. Spooky yet intriguing events encircle the town. Experience the madness for yourself. Friday and Saturday nights, October 6th through the 28th at the Clinton Area Chamber of Commerce. Terror on Washington Street Haunted House. 513 East Washington Street in Clinton. For more info, go to ClintonHauntedHouse.com. Visit us if you dare.
Your friend in Central Illinois, WHOW.
Once again, good morning. Thanks for being with us. I'm your host today, Seth Lawrence. The WHOW Morning Show streams to Facebook and YouTube. It's brought to you by Peterson Insurance, your Pekin Insurance agent in Clinton. Jack Myers, Social Security, on the phone with us here for this morning. Jack, let's talk a little bit about types of changes if we receive supplemental security or are applying for supplemental security. What do you have for us? What's going on here?
Yeah, absolutely. So, Seth, we administer Social Security benefit programs in our offices, but we also administer supplemental security income, SSI. Now, there are some major differences, of course, between those, and one of the biggest is that SSI is a needs-based program. So eligibility for SSI benefits is not based on your work history. The money that's used to pay the SSI benefits comes from federal tax dollars, but it doesn't come from the money that you pay into Social Security. So those are some fundamental differences there. And, because of that need-based aspect of the SSI program, certain life changes can affect your SSI payments differently than they would affect your Social Security payments. So that's first and foremost, I want to make sure people understand that and understand that some of the stuff that I'm going to talk about here apply to SSI benefits and could affect your SSI, but wouldn't affect your Social Security payments. And the reason for that is because income and resources are a factor of eligibility for this needs-based SSI program. So changes in circumstances can affect SSI eligibility, and there are things that you need to report to us. So if you are receiving or applying for SSI, you should report changes for yourself and your spouse if you live together with your spouse. If you've applied for SSI for a child, changes should be reported to the parents who are in the same household as the child. So that's kind of when you have to or who you have to report these changes for. And some of the common changes that need to be reported to us are things like changes in income, changes in resources like bank accounts, vehicles, or property, changes in employment if you start work or stop work or change jobs, changes in your address or if people move out of the household. So for example, if you're applying for a child and one of the parents moves out of the household, that should be reported to us. That's a change that could affect the child's eligibility. If you enter or exit a nursing home or jail or prison, if there's a change in U.S. citizenship or lawful non-citizen status, if there's a change in marital status. So there are a lot of different things, Seth. So not really any way to cover them all, but those are some of the big ones to report. And if you want to read more about that, we have a pamphlet that's called Understanding Supplemental Security Income Reporting Responsibilities, and that's available on our website at ssa.gov.
Very good. So check that all out. Jack, anything else on that you want to put out there for us?
Well, just maybe I'll build a little bit on one of the things I mentioned. I talked about changing in, reporting changes in employment. So if you're wanting to report wages to us because you or your spouse or child receives SSI benefits, the most convenient ways to do that are either through a free SSA mobile wage reporting app that we have or through My Social Security online wage reporting tool. So you can do those reports online, but to get started with that, you have to first report the work to the local Social Security office, give us the employer identification number, and tell us that you'd rather report the wages electronically. We can get that set up for you, and then you'll have a much easier time reporting those wages each month because you just go into the app or you log into the My Social Security account, report those wages, and you're done. You don't have to send pay stubs. So again, to get that started, you would contact the local Social Security office first, give us the EIN, let us know the details of the job, and let us know that you're wanting to report those wages electronically every month, and we can get you set up for that.
Very good. Jack Meyer, Social Security, on the phone with us here for this morning. Jack, we got a few minutes here. I want to wrap up with a common question I'm sure you get. And, I told you I was out west last week and saw just a ton of advertising for Social Security. And we speculated offline it was perhaps because of just the remote nature of, a lot of communities out there. Perhaps they're not within a very, easy driving distance of a Social Security office. So perhaps, the incentive to promote Social Security online is to save them some time. Let's talk about why folks should sign up for a My Social Security account, do that online, and how about that aspect of it, Jack?
Yeah, absolutely. Some of the points you just made are excellent reasons why a person would want to create a My Social Security account. There's so much that you can do. Like I said earlier, I kind of touched on it. You can get a replacement Social Security card if you have a driver's license or an ID from most states, and you don't need to change anything. If you're just missing your card, you can get a replacement right through the My Social Security account. You can check that earnings record. You can see estimates of your future benefits. If you're receiving benefits, you can get things like a letter that shows how much you get from Social Security or SSI. You can do things like change your address or direct deposit if you're getting regular Social Security. You can do just so many different things through the website that would save you the hassle of having to visit a Social Security office or call a Social Security office. You can do these sorts of things from the comfort of your home when it's convenient for you. And, like we talked about off air, like you said, some of those areas when you get out west are so remote that it takes a long time for an individual to drive to a Social Security office. So having that opportunity to do things through the website, through the My Social Security account, is a great option. But I think that applies here in the Midwest as well. Even if it's not as far, it's still going to take time out of your day, and you're going to have to, spend gas money and that sort of thing to drive to an office. So if you can get it done through the My Social Security account, it's going to be a lot more efficient for you and free you up to do some things you'd probably rather do. I'm not for sure, but I'm guessing spending time in our office is not top of the list of things people want to do.
Sure. Well, Jack, I hate to do this to you. I got to let you go for the morning. Always good to talk with you. Jack Myers, Social Security Network News on the way.
The Big 1520 WHOW